This is Peter and my Japanese maple, which was purchased from Warrandyte Nursery, Warren Glen Nursery in 1998 in Warrandyte. It was a nursery stock approximately 7 years old. The roots tied in a hessian bag of soil, and the roots came through the bag, and then they were cut off. Top of the tree, 1998, was cut and also trimmed. Potted in a dark blue pot that belonged to Brad Smith, which was returned. In 1999, potted in a brown pot, then replanted in the green round pot, purchased from Rhoda Glen Nursery in the patch, 1999. Has been repotted many times in this beautiful green pot. 2019 was when it was last planted.
Hi everyone, so this dried maple I collect about 7 years ago that were empty. So I just wiring and trying just something like that, and we need some more time to do a lot of more better, because sometimes we need to do a little bit bend it down, something like that. But that dried maple around 55 or 60 years old that I collect about 7 years ago. Hi everyone. So that is not a Chinese elm, that's a cattling elm. So I collect from around a couple of years ago from a friend of mine. That the tree from Don De Luca. He wrote this one about 40 years. So that's why I want to I collect this one. I still trying, but not yet finished. We need some more couple of years, then we're trying to finish. So, and this is red pine twin trunk semi-cascade. So this tree I collect about 9 years ago. So I'm trying to do something to become good, but we need some more time to do something, a little bit more work on that tree. So that way we need to do some more. So and that tree, that another tree, the maple. So this tree about probably about 70 or 75 years old. That twin trunk, but I collect about over 11 years. That way we still trying. We need some more time and clean it up. Little bit messy, but we need to clean it up and changing and do something more later. And that's the way we need to do.
All right, this is another English elm. You might think I've only got English elms in my collection, but I do have a number of other trees. But they are a species that's worth growing. I really think we ignored them for a long time, but I think they're well worth trying as bonsai. This is another collected tree. This one was collected from up around the Kyneton Way. This one I did collect. I probably collected it, I'm guessing maybe, could be 15, 18 years ago. It was just a stump with a big stump with that 1 leader coming off the top, which I kept, and then I cut off the main trunk or the main stump and just hollowed it out. So there's a big hollow section in there. Once again, ramification is quite good on this. It's probably a little bit more ramified than the previous tree, but nowhere near as ramified as the first tree, the raft I showed you. This is a medium-sized tree. I don't defoliate this one. Once again, if I try to defoliate it, pulling the leaves out also pulls a lot of the buds out. So I just make sure that nothing gets away through the growing season, so that everything gets kept back to the profile, so that hopefully I can retain most of the internal buds. I do take off some of the larger leaves. I do take off some of the longer shoots to keep the profile and also keep sun getting into it. I do recommend that you do grow your English elms in full sun. All of mine are pretty much in full sun. I do protect them on the days when it's going to be over 35. I'll pull shade cloth across them, but other than that, full sun all year round. They all are kept moist. They don't like to dry out a lot. One of the big issues you might have with English elms is red spider or spider mite. They tend to love getting into them, and when that happens, the trees will just drop their leaves. Now, whether that's good or bad, I don't know, because maybe it helps with defoliation, but I prefer to control it a bit better than that. So you can spray. You could use Confidor on it or one of those products. I'm not entirely convinced that Confidor doesn't help to the defoliation process either. So what I tend to do these days is not so much spray them with a chemical, but I just, every time I water the tree through the summer when it's in leaf, I'll hose under the foliage all over the tree, and that seems to keep the spider mites at bay. So we'll spin this one around. You can see now that hollow part of the tree showing up quite well for that angle. Okay, so we're back to the front. I do repot my English elms every year in about June or over the cold months, preferably June, July if it works in with everything else I've got to do. And they're kept reasonably well fed through the season. Having said that, it's usually just slow release fertiliser. I don't really liquid feed as much as I should, but they certainly have a 6-month slow release fertiliser put on them just after they're repotted. So yeah, so that's my well, 3 of my English elms. There are a couple of others, but I'm not going to show you those today. So I hope you enjoyed that, and thank you. Okay, this is another English elm. You'll see on this one the ramification is not quite as intense as on the previous one. Part of that's probably due to this tree was collected up around the Bendigo region, so probably a different varietal source than the previous raft style you just saw. And also I never defoliate this one. I find this is one that if I do try to defoliate it, I do pull a lot of the buds out when the leaves come up. When the leaves come out, I often pull the bud out with it. So I choose just to just let it do its own thing and then trim it back in the winter, which is, well, about now. It's only just been trimmed back in the last week. So this is also quite well known. It's often been featured in Bonsai Northwest shows, quite often in the tokonoma that we display. It's often features in that, and it's probably getting close to being the favourite tree in my collection. It just has that wild look about it, but also in the years I've had it, I've managed to improve the ramification quite a lot, and it's now settling down into middle age and starting to look pretty good. It's a twin trunk semi-cascade, if you wanted to call it that, but just a really nice wild looking tree, but wild with a bit of control as well. It's got a little bit of wire on it, and it's had a little bit of wire in the past, but a lot of that shape has just been done by clip and grow. So I'm going to spin it around slowly so you can get a view of it from all sides. As it's going round, the pot it's in, it's been in this pot for 12 months. It was a pot I got specifically made for it by Tracy Francis from Murrumbung Ceramics. So it's sort of a bluey grey matte sort of finish in the glaze, which I think works really well. So yeah, another special English elm that I have in my collection, and I'm really pleased to have it. I wasn't the person who collected this one, as I've said. It was collected from the Bendigo area. I'm guessing now I've probably had it in my care now for well over 10 years now, I would think. Yeah, well over 10 years. So well over 10 years. I think it was in my care when Northwest held the 2007 AABC convention. I had it then, so that makes it at least 13 years in my care anyhow. And it has developed a lot since then. However, the bones of the tree were there when I got it. Yeah, so I hope you enjoy that one. I'll spin it around one more time and yeah, have a look at it. Okay, this is quite a well-known English elm. It was collected many years ago somewhere down in Gippsland. I wasn't the person who collected it. It came into my hands as part of a deceased estate probably in the early 2000s. At that time it was nowhere near as developed as it is today, and the front was round the other side. So you're looking at the old back at the moment, but it's the front that I like the best because it shows up the hollows, which are quite an interesting feature of the tree. I'll spin it round now just to give you a bit of a look at the back of it and the sides. So you can see it's quite a deep tree as well as it goes around. Okay, so there's the back of the tree. Still very nice, but for me it doesn't have that interest of the hollows. Now, obviously the major beauty of this tree is the ramification, which is pretty intense sort of ramification happening there. And part of the reason for that is every year since I've had it, every year apart from last summer, I've defoliated it with help, because as you can see, it's a big job. Having said that, the leaves, once you work out how to do it, the leaves come off quite quickly, and I don't mean just stripping them off. You just sort of pluck them off, but they pop off. For some reason it works much better on this elm than my other English elms. On my other English elms, if I try to pull the leaves off, I sometimes rip buds out with them. This one I don't. I just seem that the leaves just seem to pop off, and despite the fact that it's a big tree, in a reasonably short period of time, it might take me an hour and a half to 2 hours, I've completely defoliated it. Sometimes I've had help, and obviously that happens quicker when I do. But I've come to the conclusion and that's probably why the ramification is so good. But I do think trying to defoliate trees every year is probably not a good policy. It probably weakens them. So I've decided now I'm only going to do it every second year. So this past summer I didn't do it. Defoliation I normally do early December. So I didn't do it this past summer, and the tree really hasn't suffered because of the dense. You can spin it, Ken. Because of the dense ramification, it does develop quite a lot of dead twigs in it. But I've found that rather than me go selectively cutting out live branches to lighten the load, if you like, I've found just letting the tree do its natural thing and discard branches that are too shaded, it seems to work better, I think, than what I could choose them. I'm still getting a really nice flow to all the branches, and as I said, I'm just letting that happen naturally. So it's probably one of my best trees. It's probably one of the more well-known trees around the traps. So there you go, English elm raft style. The pot's not ideal, but it's not bad. I'd probably, if I had my choice of any pot, I'd probably go for one slightly longer or wider, if you like. But it's very hard to find a wider pot that's not big and chunky. So at this stage, that's where it stays. So I'll get it spin around one more time slowly, so you can have another look at it. So yeah, enjoy. All the way round, Kent. Okay, that's it. So thank you.